Well, we said last week, didn't we, at the end of the show, look, watch this space. Once Thomas Frank gets announced, which happened after the show, it will be Tottenham transfers, Tottenham transfers, Tottenham transfers. As it's your club, Dino, you can go.
Well, it feels like a long time ago, but it was only like 4 days ago.
Yeah,
was it 5 days ago? But yeah, look, I mean, Man United, 45 million-ish they were talking, and everyone sort of said, oh, that's a good deal. Good. If you watched any Brentford this year, then you will know that's a good deal. And then obviously Thomas Frank comes to Spurs, and now the price seems to have gone up to about 65 million to 70 million pounds, which again I think is probably fairer, closer to his value. Will Daniel Levy pay that or not is another matter, but also I don't think Manchester United can get involved in a negotiation at that price without European Champions League football behind them. You know, they need to sell Garnacho, who we just mentioned before, because that's pure profit because he's an academy player. They probably need to sell Kobbie Mainoo as well to start doing deals like this, as well as a Gyökeres if they wanted him. Obviously, that looks unlikely now. But
just run through quickly. What's Gary written? Gary Stonehouse
story to take it on today after all of the back and forth of the clubs yesterday. So yeah, on the back page as well, it's the using Andre Onana as their secret weapon. Make sure you finish the sentence. In a battle for Bryan Mbeumo. So I mean, is this now what
Cameroon
we're down
teammates,
to? Cameroon
aren't they?
teammates, absolutely. And is it Andre Onana, Cameroon teammate, versus Thomas Frank, ex-manager, in trying to persuade him to come to their club? And look, I mean, I'm not sure if I was a Man United fan, which obviously after the last few months I'm very thankful I'm not. I'd be wanting Andre Onana to do the convincing on anything.
Yeah, of all the players to be your ambassador. Yeah. Oh, look, have you had a good time at United then, Andre? Have you been watching Match of the Day this season? No, not really. Oh, in that case, yeah, I have. Yeah.
Did you know I'm top of the errors leading to goal table?
So 25 Mbeumo, and I've got quite a specific view on him, right? I think if it was Jared Mbeumo or Bryan Bowen,
I wonder when this was coming.
Well, I just think it's one of those classic situations, and it does sometimes happen the other way. You know, I think Declan Rice, West Ham added a bit of an English tax on him, but I think in this instance, I think he was Brentford's best player by a clear mile last season.
Yep.
I watched him twice in the flesh, actually. No, 2 or 3 times in the flesh. 2 times against West Ham. And he was Brentford's best player he was streets ahead.
Yeah,
and all the talk when Salah's future was still up in the air about Liverpool sort of deciding between Mbeumo or Jared Bowen as the replacement for Salah on that right wing position. I think he's a very, very good player. 25 years of age, which always surprises me, sort of given the huge beard and the bald head. Yeah.
I'm not as old as I look either. So
no, quite. Yeah. I am way older than I'm way younger than I look. Newcastle also keen, like you said, £45 million plus add-ons. I think £10 million was the bid that United had rejected in the first week of June. Right, as you say, that price now seems to have gone up. It's 60 million plus, 20 goals and 8 assists in 38 games for Brentford last season, 22 Cameroon caps, like you say. Andre Onana apparently trying to persuade him to go to United instead of Tottenham. He's getting 45 grand a week at Brentford at the moment. So whatever happens, he's got a big pay rise coming. Out of contract at Brentford next year, but Brentford have a 1-year extension, which even they don't have to trigger that. That already is protecting the value of the deal there. Frank, though, Thomas Frank, new Tottenham manager, of course, coached him for 6 years at Brentford after he signed from Troy in 2019. And the quotes in the paper today inside, and Mbeumo on Frank, I think speaking at the Canadian Grand Prix, saying he's done so much for me. He's developed me as a player and as a man. I can only hope he does really, really well. You sort of, from a romantic point of view, you think, oh yeah, well that one makes sense. And to be fair, from a footballing point of view, but you signed Mattis Tell as well.
Yeah, but I think you've got to look at that. What are you doing? What are you doing as a footballer if you go to Manchester United at this point? I'm not just talking Tottenham here, right? Don't scoff at me because it's Tottenham, but over a club who is in the Champions League and is already in a position to move forward, and with the manager that has done all those things for you.
Well, surely it's money.
Exactly, but then what I mean,
I'm not saying no.
I mean, I'd like to be a fiver behind him at 45 grand a week. He's gonna go to 200 if he goes to Spurs.
Well, you're actually only a tenner behind him on your
Yeah,
wages, aren't you?
But if he goes to Spurs, he's going to be talking late ones, early 200s a week, plus the Champions League bonuses and win bonuses and all that. And if he goes to Man United, look, yeah, they might throw $250,000 a week at him, but what you're going to be doing on a Wednesday night, sat there watching all the others play and think, I'm really looking forward to another 3-4-3 session under Anima in the next morning. It's if you're a Premier League footballer and you're his age, you're right in the bubble age, right? 25, coming up for 26, you have to make the move that is a career move, not a career-ending move.
No. Would you say that Cunha's done that then?
Well, I don't know who else was in for Cunha. Maybe none of those Champions League clubs weren't in for Cunha. I can't, I wasn't really involved in any part of that. I didn't know him particularly well, the agent either. But in this sense, like, why? I mean, if let's say worst case scenario, right? We get the Spursy tag back in 18 months' time. Spurs have finished 8th, been knocked out of all the cups, and it doesn't really work out under Thomas Frank. Everybody knows what a great player he is. He's still only 27. The move to Man United or Chelsea or whoever is at the top of the table at that point is still on. If you go to Man United and they flop and move down the table, who's going to take him out of there at 300 grand a week and pay the money that Man United are going to want for him?
But surely the same would apply to Tottenham, though, because, and if I'm honest,
but Tottenham are a selling club. Most of the time they've been a selling club, so but
it would still require
a sell-on club, I should say.
I agree, and United are in a more of an unenviable position in that they've got so many players on massive wages and on massive contracts that they find it impossible to shift. I do get that, and I would agree, just based on next season, that Tottenham is the not slightly, but considerably more appealing prospect, purely based on the Champions League football and that alone. I think. Personally, I'm still jury's out on whether Thomas Frank is quite the appointment that Tottenham need as a club. Certainly, the level that you want.
I think
to be
if he gets him as well, I'll be moving much more towards the positive side of it.
Do you seriously think? Because even the numbers you were talking about just then, the wages, late hundreds, early 200s for Bryan Mbeumo, I think he's very, very, very good. I just find those figures to be well out of whack.
I think that's where they're at now, and I think he's that good. I really do.
But do you think if Tottenham signed him, obviously you have signed Matis Tel as well on a permanent deal from Bayern Munich. Appreciate you got more games this season, but if United sign him or Tottenham sign him, I find it really difficult to be convinced that he's going to take you to that sort of next level.
I've got to disagree with you. I think that Solanke as the front man plus a Richarlison as a backup. Him one side, probably the right, but one of the attractions with someone like him is that he's a utility forward, can play anywhere along
Brennan
the three.
Johnson then?
Well, Brennan Johnson is
hero
the backup
of the season.
Yeah, he's the backup. But that's where you're moving the team on. That's what I mean. He is better. You talk about him alongside Jarrod Bowen. He is better than Brennan Johnson. Absolutely no question. He's better than Brennan Johnson. Yeah. We paid £47 million for Brennan Johnson. So then as you say, Matis Tel. We've got Wilson Odobert as well.
Yeah,
I would imagine Heung-min Son is going. They're going to try and make some money on him and move him out the door.
You've been leading the Sun Out campaign at Tottenham for years.
Don't. Let's not go there. Let's not go there. Come on, let's finish it off with some of the big hit transfers or the quick hit transfers that we've got elsewhere. I'm telling you that this boy's great.
Sorry, I'm just trying to look to see if Jarrod Bowen's 13 goals and 10 assists.
Are you trying to tell Jarrod Bowen to Tottenham?
Jarrod Bowen is better than Bryan Mbeumo.
I don't necessarily disagree with you, but Danny Dyer wouldn't let Jarrod Bowen go to Tottenham, so there we
go. That is very, very true.